Evening folks, and welcome back to the WTF. And this evening we are going to take a look at the latest thing that's on the bench, a Collins 618T, which is almost a complete amateur radio station in one black box. The other black box there I've actually made myself, but we'll talk about that in a minute when we take a closer look at it. This transceiver is actually from an aircraft, and this particular one I think came from an ex-MOD, probably a VC10 or possibly a Tristar, and this would have been in the avionics bay of the aircraft, and it's essentially an HF transceiver, 2 to 30 megahertz in a number of steps, controlled by this panel here, this control box, which would have been in the cockpit. And it does single sideband AM. It's got a facility for sending data, although I'm not quite sure exactly what sort of data it would send, possibly some sort of RTTY perhaps. And it also does CW, but the CW is not CW as we know it. It's actually modulated carrier wave, so MCW, as I found out to my, well, I wouldn't say cost, but the person who I was trying to send to. So what we'll do is we'll take a closer look at it. You may recall from the last video that I showed you the power supply that I was building using those computer server switch mode power supplies. Well, that's all been done, and I'll show you what this thing's all about. We'll see if we can open it up. I haven't opened this one up. When I got this, it actually works straight out of the box, and I've had quite a few QSOs with it. I've been using it on AM because that's the other thing that it works on, on the VMARS 3615 AM net, and I haven't had to do anything on it. It's literally worked straight away. But I have had to build up a power supply, as you saw before. So what we'll do is we'll bring the camera in and I'll show you what it's all like. As I said, in terms of opening it up, I'll try and remove the case for you. Unfortunately, we may not see much inside this because the construction of this is all sort of fairly modular, and there's not an awful lot to see, but we'll have a look. I haven't actually taken the back off, as I said, and so I don't know what to find in there. All I know is that the whole thing works. It's all been tested and we've used it and it works just fine. So without further ado, let's bring the camera in and I can just show you exactly what we've done here to get this transceiver working as it is at the moment. So taking a slightly closer look at the 618T, let's start off on the right side. Over here we've got an inverter, which is 115 volts, 400 hertz, and then next to that we've got the 28 volt power supply. It's actually about 26, 27 volts that this requires at about 30 amps, so hence the reason for the previous video where we made up the power supply with the old switch mode power supplies wired in series. And this other black box here on top is essentially a big junction box which takes the large cable at the back, and this was also made out of an old avionics box. You can see there it says handle with care gyro instrument, and I'll show you the inside of that in a minute. And what I've got here is the control panel, or control box. If you want to use a 618T, you don't necessarily need one of these, but it does make the job a lot easier. You can actually, with the information that's available, the circuit diagram, you can bring out all the pins and you can actually do it manually. So although this is desirable, it's not completely essential. You can still use this unit without having that. The other thing that I've got inside this box here is a small audio amplifier, and there's a speaker at the back. ideally this rig is probably best used with headphones, because you'll see when I turn it on it is extremely noisy. There's a big fan inside there which keeps everything cool, and it is quite noisy. And there's also the noise of the inverter as well, which is the 400 hertz whine, which also can be a bit off-putting. But anyway, the little audio amp I've got in there and the speaker, I can hear quite easily, you know, what's going on. So I think what we should do is just perhaps take a look at this box and this control box, so you can get an idea of, you know, how easy it is to control this unit. So this is a close-up of the control box, and to dial in the frequency, it's simply a question of moving these knobs to whatever you want. And you've got megahertz, 100 kilohertz, 10 kilohertz, 1 kilohertz. Now there is a variant of the 618T which does go down to 100 hertz, but unfortunately this particular one doesn't go down in that sort of resolution. But as it is at the moment, it's perfectly usable. I mean, certainly for, you know, normal QSOs, you can use it perfectly okay. And you've got a switch here which switches it on. It's got a different settings: your up sideband, lower sideband, AM, data, and CW. As I mentioned, the CW is not A1A; it's modulated CW. I did try a QSO on CW with this, and then the guy told me that my signal was 5 kilohertz wide, and he was wondering why I was using AM on the CW end of the band. But he was quite understanding, and we still managed to have a reasonable QSO. Luckily, at the time, there was no other stations, but I have looked at seeing whether it's possible to do some sort of modification so that you can get normal CW, but I'm afraid without sort of making major changes, it's not really feasible. Unless somebody knows if there's a quick fix, perhaps leave something in the comments below. The other thing you've got here is the RF gain for the receiver, and that's really all there is to it. These other switches here, that's to key the transmitter. You don't necessarily need that, because you can key the transmitter through the push to talk button, and that's just to mute the speaker that I've got in here. So let's have a quick look at the actual front panel. I probably just need to take the camera out a little bit. I think that's a bit better. So obviously in front here, this is the fan intake, and then we've got a little meter here which shows us our voltages. We've got 28 volts, 130, and then underneath there's 1,500, I think it is. PA milliamps and calibration tone. And obviously you've got a socket for the microphone and also for headphones. The microphone, incidentally, is you need a carbon microphone for it, and also one of those funny Collins jack plug, because otherwise it doesn't take the normal type of 1/4 inch plug. And then you might be wondering what these coax connectors are on the sides. Well, they are for the IF of the receiver comes in and out of that. So I suppose you can sort of look at the IF response, I suppose. And then on the other side, there's a similar arrangement with 2 BNC connectors, and these are for the reference for calibration. The reference, what have we got? Standard 500 kilocycle reference on that side. So that's more or less it, really. And to use it, you simply switch it on, press the PTT, and talk into the microphone. The inverter is, you'll be probably wondering why you need 115 volts, 400 hertz if you've also got this chunky 28 volt power supply. Well, the inverter is required for the fan, and it also, I believe, controls a lot of the motors for setting the frequency, because it's all automatic. This 618T, it's really, really complicated the way it works, and everything is literally automatic. So I think what we'll do is we'll see if we can do a bit of a demonstration with this. So to turn it on, I'll just make sure I'm connected up to an aerial, which I am. So to turn it on, we just simply press the switch. So the power supply comes on, and also the inverter. Just show you that, there we are. And then we've got a nice little front panel there which is illuminated. And then we switch it on like so. We'll put it on lower sideband, see if there's anything on. There seems to have some German stations on there at the moment. See if there's anything on 3.620. So I'll just turn it off a minute. So you can see exactly how noisy it is and why it's sometimes better to use it with headphones. But I found it with this speaker, it works just fine. I just want to show you quickly the back, and we'll see if we can take the sides off this thing, and then we can have a look inside, which should be quite interesting. So one of the things I had to do to get this thing to work was to bring out this cable, which is got about 60 pins on it. You can see it at the back plugged in, and I brought it through into this box, which you can see there where the little control box plugs in. Luckily I was given the cable and also this connector and the control box actually by my friend Ian, who managed to get it off somebody in VMARS, I think. So I think a lot of the hassle was taken out, because if I didn't have the control box I would have had to to find an alternative way of working it. It can be done, but it's just obviously a bit more hassle. So as you can see there, I basically had to bring out 60 individual wires and then connect up this connector. Now it looks a bit of a rat's nest, but there is order in there somewhere, and it does actually work. What's quite interesting is if you do manage to get the connector, the information is out there on the internet, which wire goes where and which wire you need to connect. For the 28 volts DC in, the 115 volts, 400 hertz, and also for the various wire connections that are required to operate the frequency change mechanism. And you know, I managed to get this right pretty well first time, so I was quite surprised by that. And as I said, just in that past demonstration, you can see that it does actually work. Anyhow, what I'm going to try and do is see if we can take the back off this and we can show you what it looks like inside. So I've taken the sides off the 618T, and as mentioned before, there's really not an awful lot to see because it's a modular design. Everything is inside these little modules, which there's a couple of, if you want to undo them, there's these little red screws which are dotted around every now and again, and you simply undo those and pull these out. This rig is actually a hybrid rig, so it has transistors, solid state, and it has valves. A lot of the valves are in the transmitter section, and the PA, the power amplifier of this, is a pair of 4CX250 ceramic tetrode valves, and the power out of this on single sideband, it is 400 watts PEP, so it's pretty pokey. So as I said, it is literally an amateur radio station, a transmitter and a linear amplifier all in one. On some of the other modes, however, the power output is a lot less. For instance, on AM I think it's about 100 watts carrier, but when you look at that in PEP, that would obviously be 400 watts as well. And on CW though, it's only 100 watts carrier, so it's not too bad. So what we'll do, I'll show you the other side, but again there's not much to see because it's all modular. It's all covered in aluminium plates and things like that. I don't really want to take all these modules out because I'm just afraid that, you know, it might upset it a little bit, and it's all working and everything, and you know, so when you start fiddling with things, things tend to go wrong. So I'll just show you the other side quickly. This is the other side, and as mentioned, there really isn't much to see because everything is behind all these aluminium covers. You can see some gear wheels there. The unit on the end, if I can just get into focus, that's the PA unit. And again, everything is all controlled by gears when you select the frequency. I think what we need to do is put the covers back on and see if we can get a QSO with it. Yeah, roger in, or QSY 3.618. So we're on the air with G6TVJ, my mate Ian. And
you've got me there, Justin. Over.
Yeah, roger in, coming through very nicely actually. I can't give you a proper report, but I would say you're probably at 20 over 9. Back to you.
Yeah, okay there, Justin. Lovely signal from you actually. You're on the SDR, your signal actually looks pretty similar to mine. Let me see what the signal strength is like on the S-meter, but anyway, good signal this evening. Not quite sure what conditions are like, but dropping you no problem. Sounding very good, sounding very good. Crystal clear, Justin. Back to you.
Yeah, roger Ian, all copy there. Well, I think it might be this microphone that I'm using. Apparently this Telex T66, I think it is. It's a noise cancelling microphone, so hopefully you're not hearing all the noise from the fan. I'm just recording this for the YouTube video on the 618T, so you're coming through very, very well. So I think fine business and all that. Yeah, well, I hope you had a safe journey back to Bristol, and yeah, I checked that 160 metre area. There's something wrong with it. I'm going to have a look at it. I think there's a high SWR on it all over the place. It might be moisture's got into the connector. I can't think of anything else why it's playing up. Anyway, back to you. G6TVJ, GW0FZY.
G6TVJ.
Very noisy.
Justin. Good play on the. Hang on, let me just adjust this microphone a bit. Your trace looks very, very similar to mine, although I might be slightly stronger than you. That's all good. Very interesting to compare these two rigs there. So brilliant, well done. It's sounding really good. Much improved on the previous microphone that you had. I'm using this Dave Clark headset, and it's a noise cancelling microphone. I'm very conscious of the side tone in the headset. I tend to maybe have it too loud in order to hear the louder side tone, but I've got a scope actually on this looking at the envelope as well, so I can see it peaking away at about 400 watts there, I believe. Well, actually the scope's not calibrated. Let me just see if I just do that. No, that doesn't. Yeah, okay. Yes, all good there. Yeah, journey back was fine. Yeah, motorway was really good. Slightly concerned about the old Garrett smoky there, but what's a bit of smoke? Nice to give that a whirl, get everything going, and there we are. And I can't tell you how pleased I am at your 618, how that's turned out, because it was a bit of a risk there, and it might give trouble. So it's good to be all members of the 618 plan there. At some point I'll probably redo the connector on mine, because I've still got this sort of jury rigged situation, but I've now got a plug so I can redo that. I also like the way your little controller lights up red as well. I've got a couple of lamps screwed into this one, but they don't illuminate, so I need to look into that. So did your display, does it just glow anyway, or did you have to do something to make it light up, or does it simply just light up anyway? That's because how the default wiring works. I suppose actually, yes, I suppose I may have left the wiring out for the lighting actually. So yeah, I'll have to see how I've wired it. Maybe I need to wire up the lighting. But anyway, well done, all working there. Sorry to hear about top band aerial, but always interested in top band, so maybe at your convenience, if you make any progress with it, we can give it another try. But I have got a squealer, but that's up about 1957. 1948 is currently my sweet spot, and that's working. That's a perfect SW1. I don't think I've got any QRM on 1948, so that's a good frequency for me on the top band. But anyway, we're actually storming through on 80 tonight, so no problem there. In fact, I just hit 30 over 9 into Western Supermare. Anyway, back to you then, Justin. GW0 FZY from G6TVJ.
GW0 FZY returning. Yep, all copied there, Ian. Lovely signal, that's for sure. And all noted on the findings from on the SDR. Yeah, I'm not using any SDRs here. I don't tend to. I think it's just one more thing to keep you occupied, I suppose. But yeah, my output power is looking pretty good. I haven't got a PEP meter, unfortunately, but I can see my RF output bouncing around all over the place, so it sounds good. What I was going to say, yeah, the lighting. So basically, there's if you look at this circuit diagram, there's two. It does tell you which is the panel light. You just connect the one between one goes to ground, obviously, and the other one goes to 24 volts or 28 volts, whatever it is. I did have a problem with my a couple of light bulbs weren't. I think one of them was blown. I think the other one was okay. So I did have to buy some new light bulbs, which I think I got from I think it was from RS. I think they do sell them on RS. The small little light bulbs for this. But yeah, it does look quite good once you get the light bulbs in. I think you can. There's a facility. I think you can actually use it with a potentiometer. So if you want to dim it, you can do that as well. Anyhow, put it back to you then, Ian. I'm going to switch the video camera off because I think otherwise people might get a little bit bored with the QSO. I think it can be like that if you're just watching a video. So back to you. G6 TDJ, DW0FZY.
G6 TDJ returning. Yeah, okay there, Justin. Lovely signal.
Well, there we go. That was an interesting QSO. We were sort of experimenting with different modes during that with Ian, and we were also joined by a Dutch station, a QRP Dutch station from Amsterdam. So that's the 618T. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until we meet again, cheers for now.